Hi everyone, Stacy Whiter here on behalf of Campus Mortgage, bringing you some quick tips for avoiding closing delays, part 2. Now just a quick reminder before we get started, this video is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal advice or used in place of any government mortgage guidelines. Also, this video was created on January 30th, 2017, and the information contained in this video is subject to change without notice. So in part 1 of this two-part video series, we talked about how you could easily avoid most closing delays by asking the right questions at application. So let's take a look at some further questions that you can ask. Let's talk about occupancy. So when you're talking to the borrower about how they're going to occupy the residence, if it's owner-occupied, that's pretty simple and straightforward. But if it's a refinance and they're telling you that they occupy the property, do a quick double check when you receive their personal documents just to make sure the address that they say they occupy actually matches what's on their photo ID, their driver's license, their bank statements, their check stubs, just to confirm that is actually their primary address. And if it's not, it doesn't mean that they don't live there, it just means that you may need to get some additional documentation for the underwriter. Next, let's talk about second homes. Make sure that if they tell you it's a second home, that you ask these few questions because it's a pretty fine line between second home and investment property. So it has to be a one-unit property to qualify as a second home. They have to be able to occupy it for some portion of the year, and it must be suitable for year-round living. Also, it can't be a rental property as far as a condo in a condo development on the beach that they rent out when they're not living there. That doesn't classify as a second home and certainly cannot be a timeshare. And they have to hold exclusive control over the property. So if they tell you it's a second home, make sure you ask these few questions just to verify. Next, let's talk about property type and condition. Whether they're purchasing or refinancing the house, find out, is it a condo? Is it a townhome? And ask deeper questions to really make sure it's one or the other. Because as most of you I'm sure understand, the requirements are different for a condo versus a townhome. Is it a manufactured home? Is it a co-op? Is it a unique property? For example, is it a log home? At that point, you can have the conversation with the borrower. If it is a unique property, it could potentially raise some appraisal issues. So have that conversation then. The condition, is it move-in ready? Are renovations currently being done on the home? So for example, if they're looking to do a cash out refinance on the property, do they have half of the kitchen ripped out? These are all things that you'll want to know up front. Are there appliances missing? Is it in disrepair? Are there any major issues that could be a challenge when the appraisal comes up? And then very important, is the property currently listed for sale if they're planning to refinance it? Here are some miscellaneous questions you can ask as well. If they're looking to refinance, find out if they have a home equity line of credit or a second mortgage. Usually that's a common question that you're going to ask at application, but sometimes borrowers will have that home equity line of credit with a zero balance and not realize or think that that matters, so they may not bring it up. So dig deeper. Find out how the title is vested on the property. So if it's a refinance, is there someone else on the title who may not be on the mortgage who's still going to be responsible for signing? Very important. And if that other person lives out of state, or maybe it's a divorce situation, are you going to have to arrange for a power of attorney? You want to start all of that at the very beginning of the process to avoid any delays. Do your value due diligence. Now, it is impossible to know what the appraised value is going to come in for exactly, but there are so many sites out there right now that can give you a rough idea of what the current value is. They're free sites. You can even look for a couple of homes in the area that have sold recently so that you can give the borrower some idea as to, will this come in where they want it to or not. Certainly it's all going to be subject to the appraisal, but doing that little bit of research can help. Matching information. Does the employer name that they told you match what's on the W-2? Does it match what's on their pay stub? If not, just get additional documentation or explanation for your underwriter. Have they opened any new credit accounts, or do they plan on opening any new credit accounts over the next 30 to 45 days? You want to have that conversation up front. And certainly ask about any recent credit inquiries and have they opened any new accounts as a result. All right, everyone, that's all for now. Thanks so much for watching. For more tips and videos, please visit campusmortgage.org and look for our weekly mortgage tips and videos designed for all mortgage professionals, including underwriters, processors, loan officers, closers, and post-closers. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.